Thank you for joining us. As you know, you're at the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose, and you are welcome here. Absolutely welcome, no matter who you are or where you've been. With that, before everybody comes in, we're going to go ahead and have Jennifer, Reverend Jennifer, do the announcements.
You can call me, just don't call me late for dinner.
Okay. All right.
Hello, everybody. Bienvenidos, right? Today's Cinco de Mayo, so that's the extent of my Spanish. Ahí? Yeah. Okay. Do I need to hold this farther? This seems a little hot.
Yeah.
Little hot. Try it now. There we go. Okay. I'm going to do the announcements really quick. So we have, if you miss anything or you're new to the center, there's several ways to learn about what we're doing. One of the easiest ways is to go to www.venturacsl.org. Then everything I'm going to say is on there. If you still have questions and you're here in person, we have some ambassadors. We have Lacey right here, who's trying to get into their seat, and with Donna, and they have teal stoles on, and we have practitioners. They all have white stoles. Ask anybody; they can help you and point you in the right direction. So, what we have coming up Saturday, May 18th, we have VSOC.
Yes.
VSOC. I pronounce it wrong. So it is it's a service on Saturday, May 18th from 10 a.m. to 11:30. The title for this year's is The Taste of Liberation. It's going to be facilitated by our own David Kerrigan. This is a celebration of the Buddha's birth, awakening, and final passing. We will have meditation, chanting, and inspiration for living in the world today. A class coming up starting May 23rd in person and May 24th on Zoom is Heartivism Part 2. Do you want me to do it?
I could say a few words about it. So Heartivism is mystical activism, which is very much about initiating the spirit of goodwill, doing small acts of kindness, and detaching from the results. So we did Heartivism 1 a while ago. You don't need to have taken Heartivism 1 to take Heartivism 2, but it is a deeper dive in how to show up in a world that sometimes seems challenging and divided. It's a great class. You're going to love it. Please sign up in the social hall or online. Thank you.
And that's priceless pricing.
Priceless pricing facilitated by me. Thank you.
All right.
Good job.
Save the date in June. On June 15th at 1:30 to 5, we're going to be having a workshop called Music as a Spiritual Practice.
Ooh.
It's going to be facilitated by Mary Kerrigan, our choir director. This workshop will explore how music has been used in many world religions and spiritual groups through the centuries to present to the present to connect people with the divine. Participants will listen to a variety of examples of music during periods of meditation and contemplation, discovering how music enhances their meditation practice and spiritual experience. Through the use of music, participants will be encouraged to develop an ongoing practice of transformational growth. And that is also priceless pricing. So if you have any questions, you can find Mary before choir practice, because that's the next thing that's coming up is choir practice today at 11:30 to 12:30. And the choir is going to be practicing up here because we have a party going on downstairs after church. Which brings me to Gourmets for God. You should have gotten an email with the parties that you've won. Check your spam if you didn't. And if you have any questions, I'm going to be in the social hall. I have a little table set up, and I can check the parties that you've won. And if you want to pay with a charge card, you can pay through the bookstore, and if you have a check or cash, you can pay me. So it's all set up in the social hall if you're here in person. If you're online, check your email, get in contact with me, and I'll get that payment from you. Let's see, anything else? After service options other than paying is we have coffee and hot chocolate and other goodies in the social hall behind here. It's put out. We got hummus. We got all sorts of good stuff back there. We have the concierge desk with somebody that will be there to answer any questions that you have, and we have a bookstore. Other than that, we have 1 Minute Miracles. If you'd like to pray with a practitioner, they will be up here after service for our 1 Minute Miracles.
Thanks, Rev. Appreciate it. Okay. So again, welcome to those who came in during the announcements. It's great to see you here. And now we're going to hear from Ms. Susie Thatcher, who's going to give us our youth message. Okay, thank you. It's just what I wanted.
Yes.
Thank you.
You might need that.
Oh,
Have
good to
you
know.
filled your bucket today? All right, I'm going to call the youth up, and if we don't have youth, we're going to have very young people at heart. But we do have my grandson Enzo. Come on up and sit down and behave yourselves. Hi, Kennedy. Oh my gosh, it's Kennedy. She's been gone for weeks and weeks and weeks, and we've missed her very
Good to
much.
see you, kiddo.
Welcome back. All right, we're going to sit down right here.
Do you want me to sit?
Please do.
Okay.
You don't necessarily have to behave because you're the boss of the place. All right.
Okay.
Have you filled your bucket today? A guide to daily happiness for kids and the kid in all of us. Now, all day long, everyone in the whole wide world walks around carrying an invisible bucket. You can't see it, but it's there. Okay. Now, you have a bucket, and every member of your family has a bucket. Friends, neighbors, they all have buckets. Your bucket has one purpose. Now, that purpose is to hold your good thoughts and feelings about yourself. You feel happy and good when your bucket is full. You feel kind of sad and lonely when your bucket is empty. Other people feel the same way, too. It's great to have a full bucket. Now, other people can fill your bucket, and you can fill theirs, and you can fill your own bucket, too. So, how do you fill your bucket? You fill a bucket when you show love to someone, when you say or do something kind, even when you give someone a smile. That's being a bucket filler. Now, a bucket filler is a loving, caring person who says and does nice things for others. So when you treat others with kindness and respect, you fill their bucket. But you can also dip into a bucket and take out some good feelings. You dip into a bucket when you make fun of someone, when you say or do mean things, even when you ignore someone. Bullying is bucket dipping. So when you hurt others, you dip into their bucket, and you dip into your own bucket. Many people who dip have an empty bucket. And they might think they can fill their own bucket by dipping into someone else's, but it won't work. You never fill your own bucket when you dip into someone else's. But guess what? When you fill someone's bucket, you fill your own. And you feel good when you make others feel good. All day long, we're either filling it up or dipping into each other's buckets by what we say and what we do. So try to fill a bucket and see what happens. You love your family, so why not tell them you love them? And tell them why. And your caring words will fill their buckets with joy. Watch the smiles light up their faces, and then you feel like smiling too. A smile is a good clue that you have filled a bucket. And I'm looking at all these smiles right now, so buckets are full. And I think that might be a good place to end.
Okay.
We're going to continue with that. If you're a mother, happy Mother's Day. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Next week is Mother's Day. So be thinking about buckets. All right?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susie.
Of course.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. Thank you. Okay, here you go. Susie, would you like to take this for your...
That one's yours.
It's mine to keep?
Keep your bucket.
Okay, thank you. I'll put it here. Thank you. How's that look? Look okay there? Okay, good. Okay. Oh, now we pray. Okay. I got so excited about the bucket, I forgot to pray. Alrighty. All right. So please welcome Reverend Susan Burrell to the stage, and she's going to lead us in prayer.
And Bonnie, I'm so grateful you kept your bucket because it's going to get filled up today.
Oh, thank you. That's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So I see and notice that the practitioners and ministers in the room are standing to hold the highest watch for each and every one in this sanctuary and each and every person watching today. So knowing that that is the truth already, let's just drop into our heart center where love and peace and joy resides. And taking a deep breath, just begin to feel that expand beyond your heart, connecting you to each and every heart in this room and across the planet. Love connecting to love, peace connecting to peace, and joy overflowing our buckets today. And knowing that that is the infinite presence of what I call source energy, and that it is always in action for our highest good. I celebrate this day, I celebrate this time together, and I know that it is sacred and holy. So knowing that is the truth already, just relaxing and allowing and receiving whatever needs to be heard today as we listen to inspiration. So knowing this is truth, filled with love, I joyfully release my word into that law of love that has already made it so. And together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Rev Susan. And as we breathe deeply and settle down into our places, let us relax and move into that heart center. Allow it to open gently and to breathe in and out, to know the spiritual truth, and to listen to the words of our sacred reading.
Spiritual Truth, adapted from The Finished Kingdom by Lillian de Waters. In what direction is our inner eye pointed? Is it to the visible or to the invisible? Is it to the perishable or the imperishable? Is it to things and thoughts, or is it fixed to that which is above both things and thoughts? Let us not make things or thoughts our master. Spiritual truth is. We do not have to make spiritual truth. Spiritual truth has already made us. Truth is independent of all that we can think or feel or reason. It is our recognition of the truth that is that brings us freedom. Spiritual truth is reality, and truth is all there is, the same forever and forever. Truth is perfection, harmony, omnipotence, love. Truth is omnipresent at all times, for as the sky may be hidden by the clouds, so in back of all appearances lies reality. Nothing can be added to the truth, nor can anything be taken from that which is truth, nor can truth ever be other than itself. It is original, first, self-existent, infinite, unbounded, and unlimited. There is no time, no birth, no death, no space, no limitation to the spiritual truth that is. And so it is.
Thank you, Hugh. And so we continue to breathe deeply. And as we breathe, we begin to touch the hem of the garment of that beautiful spiritual truth. In the metaphor of the sky and the clouds, we know that the truth is a perfect screen, a perfect being, a perfect expanse. And although there may be clouds covering it, the clouds are the nothingness. And we allow those clouds to move aside as we sing, to reveal the spiritual truth of beingness, being here in the realm of heaven, in the finished realm, the kingdom of God, the queendom of God, the consciousness of God. So let us sing and know the truth about ourselves, know the truth about everything and everyone. The I Am presence is another name for truth. It is another name for God, Spirit, higher power. We sing together and know the truth for ourselves as we know it for every single aspect of the cosmos. Together we sing, I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering. Living in the consciousness of spiritual truth, let us breathe in deeply and then exhale, opening our eyes as love, in love, and in service to what is, as it is, and so it is. Good job.
See Simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Wanna change the world? There's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare to pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Wanna change the world? Just do it. Wanna change the world? There's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare to pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be.
That was Leslie Rigney. Thank you. Leslie was with the LA Opera for a while, and she's also the niece of Annie and Bill, right? Yes. Yeah. Thank you. So here we are again. So the talk this morning is called A Conspiracy of Truth. What does that mean? Got me. Anyway, first of all, what is a conspiracy? You know, we've probably all heard conspiracy theories over the course of our lives. There are probably many floating about right now. But a conspiracy is generally like a scheme or a plot of something that's going on in the world that is, it's often sinister, right? It's also often falsehood, but that's what a conspiracy is. I was going to list some conspiracies, but I decided to do some that were kind of benign versus some of the popular ones that are out now. And I'm getting most of my conspiracies from that former paper, it's not around anymore, called the Weekly World News. You might have seen it in the supermarket as you're checking out back in the day. One of the common conspiracies is Bigfoot is real. Please let me know if I offend you, okay? That maybe you do believe Bigfoot is real. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know everything, but that's a conspiracy theory that's floating around. Another one is the Earth is shaped like a Frisbee. Actual Weekly World News headline, okay? The Earth is shaped like a Frisbee. This one is also popular. Elvis is alive. In metaphysical truth, he is alive because there is no death in our teaching, but they mean literally inhabiting his white jumpsuit and gyrating. Okay. And this was one of my favorites. This is actually an Olympic conspiracy. That is, banned a three-legged skater. I don't know if you can see the subtitle there to the side, but it says, she spins around on the ice like a helicopter. It's not fair to the other skaters, is it? Right? So those are some examples of conspiracy theories. We in Science of Mind would call that type of conspiracy race consciousness, human race consciousness, meaning that the human race has all kinds of ideas that it holds and that it makes as the gospel truth, the real truth. Some of those human race consciousness theories are things like, we are separate from God and each other. Many of us learned that we are separate from God, and many of us sometimes practice that we are separate from each other, that this person is not a beloved child of God, and therefore we are separate. Another race consciousness theory that we have, conspiracy that we have, is that we are limited, undeserving, miserable sinners. I cringed a little bit as I said that, and we may not have it to that degree, but how many of us in our lives have felt like we are undeserving, like we're perpetually guilty, like we've done something unforgivable, or that even that we're sinners? Sinners simply means that we feel separate from God. Pretty much a conspiracy of race consciousness is any thought that is not life-affirming. We trust that God is all good, that God is the power, that God is the love, that God is all the things that Hugh mentioned in that reading we'll get to in just a moment. But basically, the bottom line is that God, the truth, is life-affirming. It expresses as bigger and bigger life, wanting to express through us, through our actions, through our thoughts, through our words, through all of us. So the purpose today, this is a quote from Ernest Holmes, paraphrased. Ernest Holmes says, "We are never again to tell ourselves that we are poor, sick, weak, or unhappy." And that means that we live in the truth that embraces yet transcends all conditions. I put a caterpillar on there because when the caterpillar is crawling around on leaves and eating leaves and then he goes into the chrysalis and melts, perhaps the caterpillar knows a bigger truth. And perhaps there's a part of us that is like a caterpillar that's crawling around on the ground and afraid of melting, or afraid of getting in trouble, or afraid of being something inadequate. But maybe there's a part of us that knows the greater truth. And I'm going to bet that we can tap into that today. If just for a moment we can tap into that and then bring it with us and apply that truth and live that truth in our lives, in our families, in our workplaces, in our relationships. Okay. So the nature of truth, in that reading that Hugh did, it's from a book called The Finished Kingdom by Lillian de Waters. This book was written in 1925. The person who wrote it is kind of Christian Science-esque. She's a New Thought writer, and she is old school, hardcore metaphysics. I'm taking a class in it. I wouldn't have discovered it if I wasn't taking this class, but she is bottom line. You know, people in metaphysics will say there is no death, there is no illness, there is no inadequacy, there is no lack. And I can interpret that for us in a way that I'll do later on. But be warned if you if you decide to read it. She is old school, hardcore metaphysics. So the nature of truth, she says, truth is beyond our imagination. It said that in the reading. It is beyond our comprehension. Truth is infinite. Truth is deathless. Truth is abundant and timeless. You know, it seems like we encounter these conditions in our lives, right? We encounter the perception of limitation. We encounter the perception of finite. We encounter the perception of death. We encounter the perception of lack. We encounter the perception of time, particularly in my case, being out of time. But those are just illusions. Those are perceptions based on human race consciousness. And the spiritual truth that is like the sky lies stretched in smiling repose, and these are just clouds that sometimes get in the way of our perception of the sky. And the truth is all around us. I saw a post on Facebook, the wisdom known as Facebook, this morning, and it was a picture of a gigantic, beautiful green field. And there was a little fence, a little gate, just like this, right? There was no fence, there was just a gate. And there were a bunch of sheep pressing their noses up against the gate, saying, "Why can't we get out? Why can't we get out?" And really, all they needed to do is step to the side. Step to the side and experience freedom. That's what metaphysical teachers tell us, is that we can just make a slight gesture, a slight shift in consciousness, put our consciousness in a new place, and we can experience freedom, probably in a way that is the first one, beyond our current level of imagination. We take old ideas and project them onto truth, and only the truth is true. We didn't make truth, the truth made us, as the reading said, and as Gandhi said as well. Now, one of the perceptions that we always try and polish here in this center is the idea of God. What is God? Because so many of us have grown up with sort of traumatic spiritual pasts, and we have this old notion of God, that God is separate, that God is mean-spirited, that God is punitive, that God is going to smite us at any turn. And I found this useful analogy. I think I also found this on Facebook. Wow, Facebook is my Bible, people. Okay, that's a scary thought. Anyway, a useful allegory, rather, and that is from Frank Lloyd Wright. I believe in God, only I spell it nature. Doesn't that feel good? That nature is another word for God? Nature brought us this. This is a real picture taken by my friend Jeff. 20 feet from the back door of his house, this mama cow gave birth to that baby calf. He lives near a conservancy where there's a big field behind his house. It's not his cow. Darn it, wish it was. But who did that? Who made that? Who made that incredible beauty? Well, nature did. Nature did. And nature is available for all of us, just like truth, just like God. Nature is truth. And because nature is truth, nature is beyond imagination. We can't really imagine how all of those things assemble to create that beautiful baby calf. Nature is infinite. Is there any end to nature? I mean, even if the planet Earth blows up someday or whatever, there will still be nature in other places. The universe is infinite, right? Nature is deathless. You know, the example I always use for deathlessness is the compost cycle. My friend Garrett up in the balcony loves it when I talk about no, it wasn't you, it was somebody else. Never mind. Sorry. My friend Clark loves the compost cycle. Compost. Compost. People, compost. Say compost with me. Compost. Compost is amazing. Compost is beautiful. Compost is taking our scraps and peels and yard waste and putting it into a bin and allowing nature to recycle it. It transforms. It doesn't die. It doesn't die. And even if a fruit tree has no apples or pears, or I was going to say grapes, but they're growing trees, apples or pears or peaches growing on it, it's not dead. It's simply in transition. So nature is truth. Nature is deathless. Nature is abundant. Who's going to want to argue with that, right? Nature is totally abundant. There's abundance everywhere. If I asked you to go out there and count every wave, every grain of sand out there, every leaf on a tree, you'd be doing it forever, forever. Nature is abundant, and nature is timeless. The way that timelessness has played out in my life recently, you really get this if you've written a memoir, or if you look back on your life. Maybe it only happens to old people. I don't know. But but if you look back in your life, don't you see that certain events happened that were absolutely perfect? Certain things that you had no acknowledgement, no understanding that was the right thing happening at the right time. Even certain things that felt difficult or challenging, that in hindsight, maybe 20, 30, 40 years later, you can see that it was perfect, that it was supposed to happen that way. So nature is timeless. God, nature, and truth. Here's the truth about truth. Again, we do not have to make truth. Truth has already made us. Truth is independent of all we can think, feel, or reason. It is our recognition of the truth that brings us freedom. It is our recognition of the truth that brings us freedom. So when I told that story about the sheep pressing up against the gate, they didn't recognize the truth that there was freedom right there. But there was freedom. There was freedom. And once they recognized that there was no wall, they had the freedom that they were seeking. And the same is true for us. This is very similar to the quote by Ernest Holmes that I use a lot. There is nothing to be healed, only wholeness, or God, or nature, or truth to be revealed. Truth is already here, like the sky. Sometimes clouds will get in the way of our perception of the sky, But when the clouds part, the truth is revealed, and we can play a role in parting those clouds. Spiritual truth hides an illusion. I feel like I've already said this, but anyway, spiritual truth has infinite potential, latent wholeness, and it is transformation in action. Again, the butterfly metaphor. That little guy in the chrysalis actually has infinite potential to become something else. That little guy in the chrysalis actually has instant or latent wholeness now. That little guy in the chrysalis is experiencing transformation. And if there is a chrysalis in your life, a place where you feel like you have turned to mush or melted or you're bound by something, what if the same is true for you? I'm going to know that the truth is the same for you. That truth is the same for you. The same is true for you. That we have infinite potential no matter what we're going through, that we are abiding in latent wholeness, and that we are undergoing a process of transformation that gives us hope when we know these things, that starts to part the clouds as we know these truths about what we are going through in the moment. Focus on that which is above thought. That's one of the quotes from Lillian DeWaters, that we focus on that which is above thought. So in this book, she talks about this thing called the material realm, and that's something like what we might call Kingdom 1 in this consciousness, in this teaching, where we understand that the world of conditions has power over us. This is a stage where we might feel victimized by the world of conditions. We might feel victimized by an illness. We might feel victimized by a difficult relationship. We might feel victimized by lack. And so we don't understand that we actually have some agency in moving those conditions out of our lives through our perceptual awareness. The next realm that we talk about is the mental realm, and that is the power of thought. In this teaching, we often talk about change your thinking, change your life, and that's true. Absolutely. Change your thinking, change your life. The only challenge with that is that sometimes we try and force ourselves to change our thinking, and we try and force the manipulation, the manifestation of reality through effort and through labor and through sweating. And part of us is wondering, I have to sweat so hard because this may not happen, right? I have that picture, that's Ram Dass on the screen there. And I have a picture of Ram Dass because I wanted to remember to tell you a story that I heard. It wasn't on Facebook, by the way. It was on YouTube, so there's that. Ram Dass tells a story about a guru. And this student, this very earnest student, was part of a class that was studying with this particular guru. And the student said, "Oh, guru, teacher, I want to become enlightened. What would happen if I did twice as much work as the other students?" And he said, "Well, that would probably take you about 10 years to reach enlightenment." The student asked, "What if I did 3 times as much work as the other students?" And the guru says, "That would take you 20 years. And the meaning of that is he said to the student that your eye is focused on the goal. One eye is focused on the goal, and the other eye is kind of scratching at the truth, the spiritual truth of the awareness of the one now that already abides in you and everything. So that's the material realm, where we're trying to move matter with our minds. And then the spiritual realm is a step into something that is all of those things that I talked about before: complete abundance, complete unlimited potential, complete transformation, complete love, complete power, complete joy, complete infinite nature. All of those things are the spiritual realm. And the thing is that we didn't make it. It made us, so we can't force it. We simply have to arrive there. We simply arrive there by shifting our attention, by shifting our thoughts to inhabit the spiritual realm, which is above the material and above the mental realm. Some of us in this teaching would call that Kingdom 3 and 4, which is meaning that the Spirit is working through us and as us. Okay. The spiritual realm is something like that which creates a butterfly. We can't force the creation of a butterfly. We can't force the chrysalis to open. It opens in its own time. I've heard that when a baby butterfly is coming out of the chrysalis, it looks like it's struggling. You can't help it. You're not supposed to help it because it won't develop strong wings unless it struggles a little bit. We just have to allow it in Spirit's time and trust as much as we would trust a butterfly, as much as we would trust any process in nature, that the Spirit of nature, the Spirit of truth, the Spirit of God has everything in hand. That may sound pretty woo, right? Just trust. Just trust, right? How do I do that? How do I do that when there are things coming at me that seem pretty awful, that seem challenging, that seem like are bigger than me, that seem like they're bigger than God, that seem like they're bigger than God, than truth? How do I trust that there is a greater truth than my truth? There's a physical path to the metaphysical truth. It's a quote from the Psalms, which I think I paraphrased a bit. I will lift up mine eyes to the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help comes from truth, the maker of heaven on earth, heaven and earth, right? Or heaven on earth too, both work. I will lift mine eyes up to the truth, from whence cometh my help. My help comes from truth, the maker of heaven and earth, or heaven on earth. Look up. If we are to simply assume the posture of looking up, it changes something energetically. When I was in class the other day, our instructor invited us to think of something that was challenging and look down. You can all just do this with me if you want. Look down. Think about it. See how that feels. And then raise your chin just a little bit and look straight ahead. Look to the horizon. And breathe and see how that feels. And then lift your chin just about 45 degrees and just look up. You don't have to roll your eyes back, just look up. Does something shift in your body, in your heart, when we look up? It does for me. I hope it does for you. If you believe it, it will shift. So we look up. When we're confronted with a problem, we look up. We take a moment just to look up and say, Spirit, thy will be done. Knowing that Spirit's will is always for more abundance, more infinite nature, more grace, more health, more goodness. We simply cannot attach to the form that it must take. And that's when miracles really happen. Look up. Love. Abide with love, connect to truth, and remain detached from the outcome. It's easy, right? The looking up part is easy. And then sometimes we look up, as we do with prayer sometimes, we do a beautiful prayer and then we're like, but, right? But this is what's wrong too, right? We look up, we don't have to walk around like this, right? We don't look up while driving, please. But the driving thing is kind of like I said, you can use this metaphor that I used last week. We have a huge windshield, but a little tiny rearview mirror, right? That's so we look forward versus looking back. We can glance back to see if there was an obstacle or something in the way, but rather than spending all of our time looking in the rearview mirror, right? What would that be like when we were driving, right? I think I met that driver on the way here this morning. Rather than staring at the rearview mirror, we spend most of our time looking forward. And in our cases, when we're not driving, looking up to receive the spiritual truth that is beyond our imagination, the spiritual truth that made us and that abides in everything. And if you struggle with the idea of spiritual truth abiding in everything, just take a look at nature. Take a look at nature and remember the divine power that lives and moves and has its perfect being in each of us. So here's an example of how that worked for me recently. This is a story about a mistake I made. People make mistakes. I know. You're shocked. I feel you. Oh, look who's talking. Yeah, okay. So I had to fill out a document for the government, and I made a mistake on the document. And I sent it off with the mistake intact. And then I realized that I had made a mistake. I sent an incomplete document to the government, and it was going to be a hassle if they received an incomplete document. It would not only affect me, but it would affect the other people that were involved in this particular document. And so I fretted a bit. I fretted, and I was like, oh, how could you be so, Bonnie, you know? Why did you make that mistake? That was just ridiculous. Notice where my posture is, right? Notice where I'm looking, right? I fretted, and then I thought, wait, look up. I looked up, said something like, help, divine truth. And then I got the idea that I could actually call the government. I could call the government. I have a cell phone. I could call the government. Now, more stories erupted from that notion, because how many of you, show of hands or pinkies, whatever you prefer, how many of you have dealt with the government and gone through a whole morass of, of challenges, right? Yes. I mean, even getting my DMV, my driver's license during COVID was completely challenging. I was driving around without a license for who knows how long, looking in the rearview mirror, looking in the windshield. So I just had this story again about how it was going to be difficult. But again, I said, look up, just look up, and receive the truth. I called the government. I got the nicest person ever on the phone. On the first ring, people, on the first ring. I know, right? This is some powerful stuff, this looking up, right? On the first ring, and she was eager to help me. And so she checked to see if the document had arrived in the mail yet. And she said, well, no, it hasn't arrived yet, but you know what? I'm going to keep an eye out for it, and I will call you when it comes. I said, oh my gosh, you don't have to call me. I'll call you. You probably make 100 phone calls a day. And she said, no, I want to help you. I want to call you. And she did. And the very next day it arrived, and I got in my car, and here we go, this is how I drive. I got in my car. Scary. I got in my car, went down to the government, and on my way out the door, I decided, you know, that woman was so nice. I'm going to bring her some heart pins from India. It's a picture of heart pins. For those of you who are new, you may have seen the heart pins at the door, but we have these heart pins that are sewn by women in India that came out of the slums from a really desperate situation to create heart pins, and they sell them all over the world. And we are a part of that process of rippling these heart pins out into the world. I get little notes all the time from someone saying, ooh, I'm rippling heart pins into Cabo San Lucas. Right? And we'll come back and put a pin in the map. You know, we've got a pin out there where we display how many heart pins we've rippled or the places we've rippled, right? So I got some heart pins and decided to bring them to this woman at the center, at the government. And I got there, it was fine. I filled out the document, she brought it to me. I filled it out, completed it, and then I gave her the heart pins. And when I gave her the heart pins, she got a look. She said, you're not going to believe this, but today is the 16th anniversary of my heart transplant. That's a miracle, people. That's a miracle. But if I hadn't sought truth, I would have missed it. There would have been another miracle, I'm sure, another kind of miracle at some point. But I am so honored to have received the knowing of that miracle. And what it did for me, and hopefully for us, was it just magnified the perfection of that which happens, and also the perfection of our interconnection. Because one of those women in India, perhaps the second one from the left, okay? I had to pick the right woman because some of them aren't sewing heart pins, okay? Second woman from the left in India sewed a heart pin that went literally halfway around the world and blessed a woman who was celebrating her restored heart. That's God, people. That's truth. That's magnificence. That's nature. And so, what butterfly is waiting to happen in you right now? what transformation is waiting to happen. And in the spirit of that transformation, let us talk about truth revealed. If you've made a mistake, if you've created an inconvenience for yourself or other, if you've got shame or anxiety, if you have poverty, if you're experiencing poverty, if you're experiencing illness, if you're experiencing fear and despair, if you're experiencing separation, if you're experiencing distance, even the distance of death, I will know with you and for you that there is a miracle for you. A miracle that is true nature expressing through all of us and through all of this. These things exist so that we can turn our attention upward to the spiritual truth and live like that truth is true. Every condition is a portal for grace, and all things conspire for good. So discern for yourselves right now. What's your conspiracy of falsehood? What is something that is not life-affirming that you are telling yourself? How might you look up to the spiritual? It could be physically looking up. That's a great place to start. How might you abide in a conspiracy of truth? You probably don't know the answer to that right now, but if you do the work, you will know the answer to that. One step at a time. It may seem like it doesn't make any sense, but one step at a time, one looking up at a time, one turning things over to the truth, the conspiracy of truth is revealed in each of us. And so if you would please read this with me, the spiritual truth, here we go. I live in a conspiracy of truth. I am happy, healthy, wise, compassionate, whole, and abundant. I love my life. My life loves me, and so it is. Thank you. All right, let us pray. Turning within, I place my attention on truth, knowing that this is absolute truth, the truth that embodies all relative truths, the truth of being, the truth of life, the truth of nature. This is truth, and because we are here, we are one with that truth. That truth lives and moves and has its perfect being through everything. And although there may be clouds that cover that truth, those clouds can easily be dispelled through our work in consciousness, through our intentional letting go. And so today I let go of any falsehood that feels like it's standing in my way, anything that feels like it is not life-affirming, anything that feels like it's holding me back, anything that feels like it's separating me from my good, whether it's a thought or a physical condition or a material condition, anything in the world that feels like it is separating me from my good, separating us from our good. I let that go. And in the spaciousness, I embody an awareness of the truth. I allow truth to infiltrate every single detail of my life. We let truth in so that truth can express itself in infinite, mystical, magical, wonderful ways. And the truth sets us free. The truth is beholded and become. We become the truth, as the truth, in the truth, forever and ever, because we already are that. And so I celebrate this revelation. I celebrate this knowing. I celebrate the fact that truth is revealed. I give thanks for it. I give thanks for everything that comes our way so that we may experience it as a portal to greater and greater knowing of the grace of Spirit. I bless this teaching as I bless all paths to God, churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams, fundamentalists, atheists, agnostics, gurdwaras. All of it is such a blessing, as all life is a blessing. I release my words into the mystery of divine law, and together we say, and so it is. Namaste.
Thank you, Bonnie.
My pleasure.
There's so many little connections this morning.
Yes.
I want to name the bucket the Ripple Bucket.
The Ripple Bucket, there you go.
The Ripple Bucket.
That's a good thing.
And you know, the beauty of the story that you told is that wonderful woman had no idea the ripple that she started.
Right, exactly.
In that. And it so connects to Susie's message this morning is that we're contributing. Every day we're contributing, and we get to decide, is that kindness and love, imagination, joy, and that ripple, I think, is much stronger than the other.
Absolutely.
So this morning, as you prepare your offering, I see the offering also as a ripple. When you give of your heart and your soul and your abundance, that ripples out. And our center is just such a beautiful demonstration of that. So I invite you this morning, as you place your offering over your heart, that ripples are real. And repeat after me. We trust in spirit.
We trust in spirit.
Love is the giver and receiver of all that we are.
Love is the giver and receiver of all that we are.
We offer this gift.
We offer this gift.
It is an outer expression of our inner abundance and compassion.
It is an outer expression of our inner abundance and compassion.
Our gifts bless many
Our gifts bless many
and return to us multiplied in miraculous ways,
and return to us multiplied in miraculous ways,
so that we may give again.
so that we may give again.
And so it
And
is.
so it is. Thank you, Lonnie.
It's not that unusual when everything is beautiful. It's just another ordinary miracle today. The sky knows when it's time to snow. Don't need to tell a seed to grow. It's just another ordinary miracle today. Life is like a gift, they say, wrapped up for you every day. Open up and find a way to give some of your own. Isn't it remarkable? Like every time a raindrop falls, it's just another ordinary miracle today. Birds in winter have their fling, but always make it home by spring. It's just another ordinary miracle today. When you wake up every day, please don't throw your dreams away. Hold them close to your heart, 'cause we're all a part of the ordinary miracle. Ordinary miracle. Do you want to see a miracle today? It seems so exceptional that things just work out after all. It's just another ordinary miracle today. The sun comes up and shines so bright and disappears again at night. It's just another ordinary miracle today. It's just another ordinary miracle today.
That was so wonderful. Music, who knew, right? So we're going to do a closing affirmation, and then everybody don't forget to get a 1-minute miracle with a practitioner. Oh, wait. Oh. Okay. Oh. Easily distracted. Don't forget to get your 1-minute miracle with a practitioner and grab something from hospitality and, I don't know, talk to somebody you haven't talked to before. Be social. all those fun things. So let's all read the closing affirmation together. We are love. We share love. We serve love in every part of our lives. Thank you for our lives.